everyone. This is Tom Salemi of Device Talks. Welcome to our newest podcast, StrykerTalks. Few companies in the medical device industry touch the entire spectrum of healthcare like Stryker. From accident scenes to ERs, from ORs to patient rooms, Stryker delivers the supplies, tools, and devices used to provide patients with the highest quality of care. In this podcast, we'll talk with the company's leaders to gain a better understanding of how innovation, new technologies, and teamwork will further Stryker's mission. Let's go. Hi, everyone. This is Tom Salemi of Device Talks. Welcome back to the StrykerTalks podcast. We're going to talk about looking inside the human body through advanced visualization. Our guest today is Andrés Rosales. He is the Vice President and General Manager of Endoscopy. We're going to talk about Andrés' career. He spent some time overseas in Europe, and we'll talk extensively about Stryker Endoscopy's portfolio, including its 1788 visualization platform, its SPY-PHI technology that was just received 510K clearance for lymphatic mapping within breast cancer. We'll talk about how surgeons are adapting to new visualization technologies and what AI and machine learning mean for visualization technology going forward. So I'm sure you'll enjoy this conversation with Andrés Rosales, again, Vice President and General Manager of Endoscopy. But first, I'd like to bring in our sponsor, Global Med MDI. I'm here with Greg Tobin, CEO of Global Med MDI. Greg, what can you tell our listeners about Global Med MDI?
Yeah, certainly. So Global Med MDI is a provider of outsourced manufacturing services. In November of last year, we acquired Global Med, an innovator and manufacturer of extruded products. This specific acquisition expanded our extrusion capabilities and further complemented our molding capabilities. As a result of our recent growth and the continued expansion of our capabilities, we decided to rebrand the company to better portray our expanded global network and the strong culture that we're building within the new integrated organization. As I think about the company, I like to describe Global Med MDI as a company that partners with our life science customers to build and deliver highly engineered products in the areas of molding, extrusion, coatings, and assembly. Specifically, we help develop and manufacture components, subassemblies, and devices for our customers. We have 16 production locations around the world, including China, Mexico, the US, and Canada. And in terms of our priorities, our number one priority is quality. On a daily basis, we focus on quality, on-time delivery, and meeting commitments that we've made to our customers. And I can proudly say that we're a trusted partner to many of the leading life science companies around the world.
I will take a break from my conversation with Greg Tobin, but if you want to find out more information about Global Med MDI, please go to its website, moldeddevices.com. That's moldeddevices.com. Now we'll begin our interview with Andrés Rosales of Stryker's Endoscopy business. Well, Andrés Rosales, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's exciting to talk to Stryker about your endoscopy program. I know you have some big news and a rollout with 1788. We're going to get into that in a moment and hit upon some other high points in your portfolio. But as always, love to learn about our guests. Everyone has a story as to how they found their way into the medical device industry. What was your path?
So my path was a little unique. I was introduced to Stryker actually back in college. I was making my way through a career fair on my way to practice, and I ran into a former athlete at the school I went to, and she was recruiting for Stryker. And she said, "Hey, Andrés, great to see you. I know you're heading your senior year. You really need to come work for Stryker. The culture's great. You'd fit right in." So my first question is, who's Stryker?
And good question.
Yeah,
you knew right how to get to the heart of it.
Yeah, like what's Stryker and what's MedTech? So you're looking at this booth, it's beautiful, Stryker, and they had some products. So that was my first introduction to what Stryker MedTech was. Really was unaware of the space. This was 2001. I was in the Bay Area, Technology was booming. I really was focused on pursuing a path in finance or maybe a consulting firm, Arthur Andersen at the time, Deloitte, whatever it might be. I did interview with Stryker a couple of times, but passed, and I had some very nice finance jobs lined up. However, anyone remembers 2001, the bubble burst. And
Sure.
as I was graduating, all those beautiful finance jobs, they literally evaporated overnight. And my backup plan was wine sales. And so what we know, people drink wine in good times and in bad.
Maybe more so in bad. Yeah, I'm
more
sure
so in bad. They're drinking the maybe lower quality
yes.
wine, and so it was a great couple years with the winery. I learned a lot about sales, about customers. I had an opportunity to lead very early in my career, which excited me. But then the time came where they wanted to relocate me to the Midwest. That was not something I was interested in. I loved California. And I had colleagues and friends that migrated over to MedTech, and they enjoyed the space. They enjoyed the operating theater, helping patients get better. And so I started the interview process and exploring, and was able to get an interview with Stryker and ultimately land a sales rep role in Sacramento, California. And that was coming on 18 years ago. So I've had a great run with Stryker, started as a sales rep, did that for almost 5 years, and then was given the opportunity to come in to the building here in San Jose, California, and have a marketing role. And while I was in the marketing role, I was fortunate enough to pursue an MBA and completed that.
Mm-hmm.
Then went out and did some sales management. And then the big moment came where I was tapped on the shoulder to head over to Europe. And we were restructuring Western Europe in 2015. And I was given the opportunity to go in a marketing capacity to focus on the Endo BU visualization portfolio, which is the camera ecosystem, and build the competency there. And I had a fantastic 7 years in Europe.
Yeah, what was that decision like? Was there any question? I mean, I would have a hard time saying no to working in Europe. So,
well, there was a little anxiety. I had never been to Europe, so never had any opportunity to travel outside of the U.S. for the most part, outside of Canada and Mexico. So to get this opportunity, the first question was, are you sure I'm the right person to go over to Europe? And indeed, something I love about this organization, they stretch you and they take a chance on you. So I packed up my bags, and it was easy. It was just me at the time. Packed up my bags, left San Francisco, and went into Amsterdam. First time arrived, found an apartment, and I moved and established myself. And what was maybe going to be a 2 to 3 year assignment turned into 7 years. A lot of opportunity presented itself. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Europe. And then I had the opportunity to relocate back to San Jose in my current role. Moved back to the States about a year and a half ago. Been in a role. It'll be 2 years in December. So still fairly new in this role. So great run with Stryker.
What kind of growth happens when you're working overseas outside of your native country? I mean, I think you probably, English is spoken there frequently, so I think the language barrier was probably less than if you're going into Asia. But what were some of the challenges that tested you and that allowed you to grow? And is this an experience? I'm guessing if a younger colleague said, "Should I do this or should I not?" you would say absolutely go. But what's the growth like?
Well, I'll start with the latter question, and I would encourage anybody, wherever you are in your career, if you get the opportunity, take it. It's a wonderful adventure. You'll grow, your family will grow personally, professionally. And it was a little culture shock initially, absolutely. So 15 countries I was working in, every country very different. Europe is not one country. It's 15 very unique countries.
Good point.
So the personal growth was exponential. It's something I never would have been able to achieve staying here domestically. And then on the business front, very different healthcare systems in each one of these countries. Language, definitely a barrier. Amsterdam, very lucky. English spoken by all, televisions in English. But if you go to a neighboring country like Germany,
good point.
It's not uncommon where English is very broken, or in Italy, or you go to Finland or Sweden, and you would have to change the way in which you communicate, be very thoughtful about your word selection, the pace. Humor doesn't always translate. So,
that would be my downfall.
Yeah, there were many of dinners or presentations where I had blank stares from the audience. A lot of fun learnings over there.
That's my cold sweat nightmare right there. So, and yeah, I've heard that mentioned before. Someone else an executive who worked overseas, that it really required them to focus and hone their communication style. They had to be very precise with their words. They had to say just pretty much what needed to be said, so it got communicated correctly. Is that something you learned as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, it's very different based on Southern Europe, Northern Europe.
Yep.
The tone, the body language. It's a never-ending process of how to communicate when you don't speak that language, and you have to be very cognizant that when they present to you, they're typically doing it in not their native tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And so, are you missing some cues and information in the translation? And so it was fun. Learned a lot. Picked up a little bit of language here and there.
Do you still have those muscles in your communication style? Like when you talk now to your colleagues in the U.S., do you find you're more focused and to the point than you might have been previously? That you still think that's the best way to communicate?
It's a great question. The communication has changed if I'm addressing a U.S. audience. Luckily, in my current role, I have global responsibility. So it's not uncommon for me to be on a call with Asia Pacific or Europe or LATAM. So those muscles that I build over in Europe, they're serving me well in my current role, and also educating my U.S. colleagues. Hey, we're becoming more global, and we had the European leadership team at our meeting last week. Just be cognizant. English isn't their primary language.
Yep.
Their communication style might be a little different. So just think about that. We use a lot of isms in the U.S., a lot of sports analogies.
Yeah.
They don't land. US. So,
what sport did you play in college, by the way? I'm just curious. You mentioned
I was a water polo player.
So wow. Okay. That doesn't look easy.
No, and it's a niche sport. It's predominantly California and some of the East Coast schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
You didn't not a great opportunity to go pro, I imagine.
No, in Europe it's pro.
Really?
Yeah, it draws a crowd, and a lot of the talented U.S. folks will go abroad.
Interesting.
And play international. Yep.
I had no idea. All right. Well, there I go making a joke that landed poorly because I was wrong. my little wisecrack missed. All right, we'll take a quick break from this conversation to bring back our sponsor, Global Med MDI. Once again, I'm talking with Greg Tobin. He is CEO of Global Med MDI. Greg, how does Global Med MDI work with medical device companies?
Over the past 7 decades, we've built an extensive portfolio of engineering and manufacturing services. We have deep expertise in complex molding, including injection molding, blow molding, and dip molding. We also have deep expertise in various types of extrusion, from single and multi-lumen tubing to corrugated tubing used in respiratory and smoke evacuation applications. We provide assembly services, and we also have our coatings business. And our coatings business includes the design and development of best-in-class automation and production equipment. Throughout our company, we also provide front-end design for manufacturing services. And I can honestly say that our customers score us very high in our ability to support their upfront development needs. When I think about how we work with our customers, I would say that we have an entrepreneurial, get-it-done mindset and a passion for solving complex challenges. These behaviors are in our DNA, in our culture. As you know, culture is critical to the success of any organization. And as part of our rebranding, we are formalizing tools to support our culture of learning and solving problems, all with the customer's point of view as our guidepost. To share one example, we have created an internal university that offers various types of training that range from lean processes to new materials and technologies to providing superior customer service and more. We're bringing bright minds together for better manufacturing. Ultimately, we want our customers to think of us as the partner who can solve their complex challenges.
Hi, Greg. I'm sure Global Med MDI has a lot of services to offer the medical device industry, but let's highlight a few of them for us. What can you tell us about?
Certainly. I would like to highlight how we support advanced applications within the surgical suite. We are a leader in extruded tubing, covering a range of products, including smoke evacuation tubing. This is an interesting area for us as we've developed a novel process that improves the user experience. We also excel in complex molding, and in particular, we're known for precision gears, which are critical components in many minimally invasive surgical devices, such as shavers. Interestingly, other molders often come to us for the production of their gears. The final area I'll highlight is our coatings group, which provides a continuum of services. They work end-to-end from the coating application to the manufacturing of the automation equipment. Whether it's a lubricious coating for a gear or coating extruded tubing, our coatings group has the expertise to support virtually any application. As a result, our customers can focus on the overall clinical efficacy of the device and the smooth operation within the surgical suite, and really rely on us to manage the production of complex components and assemblies. Our mission is to provide exceptional value to our customers to ensure their success. And together, we can do more.
All right, well, that concludes my interview with Greg Tobin. Again, he is CEO of Global Med MDI. If you want more information about the company, go to its website, moldeddevices.com. That's all one word, moldeddevices.com. So let's start talking about the business. You've had some great news recently with endoscopy. Let's hit upon some of the high points. Start with the 1788 platform. Tell me a bit about what it is. What approval did you get recently? And what do the next couple of months look like for you?
I love the question. We couldn't be more enthusiastic about the 1788 visualization platform. This is actually our 26th generation camera. We've been doing this a long time, dating back to 1978. It's our fourth generation fluorescence capable or near infrared imaging platform, and it's our second generation 4K visualization system. So a lot of history and technology in this platform. And why is it special? If I think back to early days when I started 18 years ago, visualization, it was all about resolution. We were selling TVs for the most part. It was, here's standard definition. We made the evolution to high definition, and then high definition was 720p, 1080i. Then we got to 4K. Well, there's diminishing returns there. So the image is really good. You go to any department store, if we go to Best Buys or Circuit Cities anymore, most people probably don't, Costco, all the images look really good.
Yeah.
So now the technology, as I mentioned, fourth generation fluorescence capable, it's what anatomy, what critical structures can we allow the surgeon to see that they can't see with their naked eye? They have a beautiful 4K image, white light, it looks beautiful, but what else, what other information can we provide them? We like to say, we enable you to see more so you can do more. And with this fluorescence imaging, we can inject the patient with a dye or targeted imaging agent like ICG, where you hit a button, we use a laser in the camera to excite the molecules, and you can visualize tissue perfusion, for example. So why is that important? Blood flow. Blood flow is important. Whenever you're cutting or you're connecting tissue, if there's not blood flow, it's not going to heal. So historically, surgeons would just look at the tissue and say, hey, it's pink, it's reddish. I'll apply some pressure, it will turn white, then it turns red. We have good blood flow. Not very scientific. So now we can use a different imaging modality to verify, hey, you know what? I thought my eye was telling me that is properly perfused. I'm going to use this extra tool. Oh my goodness, it's not.
Interesting.
And so that's one aspect. The one that gets me really excited is lung cancer. Lung cancer, number one cancer globally. It's also the most fatal cancer globally. So with 1788, we have an imaging modality where we can illuminate and excite a drug called Cytolux. And we don't make the drug. We partner with OTL, the on-target laboratories. And so we can now visualize this Cytolux that's residing in the lung cancer. And we're the only, 1788 is the only platform in the US on label via the FDA that can visualize this cancer. So now The surgeon goes in with their instrumentation and they can see this cancer glowing in front of them. So again, another tool so they can feel more confident about their approach and removing as much of the cancer as they can. So we're thrilled. Initial cases have gone fantastic. And if you think about another number 3 cancer in the world, colon cancer, and it's very lethal. It's the second most deadly cancer in the world. This platform, the technology is meaningful where the surgeons go in and they remove the cancer. And as I was mentioning, tissue perfusion, they need to reconnect the colon. And so when they can visualize there's healthy blood flow there, they're much more confident that patient's going to heal and they're not going to have adverse effects after recovery. So there's a lot of other technology in here, iterations based off prior generation cameras, but those are 2 of the technologies we are thrilled about with the 1788.
I want to get into SPY-PHI in a moment, but just I want to also first understand, how quickly do they adopt to this new visualization? Is it they see the colors, night and day, they're like, oh my God, I could just see so much clearer. This feels natural and this is the way to go? Or is there, and it probably varies, but is there also a learning period for some where someone, still they're just used to doing the pink red thing and they like to trust their own eyes? Is there a transition period, or is it like, boom, this is the future and I'm on board right away? What's that transition like, if there is one?
Tom, I love that question. That is something we face every day. Surgeons, as they go through their training, they're trained at that point in time, let's say it was 20 years ago, on the technology that was available to them at that period in time. And this technology didn't exist. Some of them, they're not early adopters. They say, listen, I've been doing these procedures this way my entire career. My outcomes are beautiful. I don't think I need these additional tools. Well, it's incumbent upon us, industry, Stryker, myself, to create the learnings, the medical education events, to educate them, show them the clinical papers we've invested in saying, hey, doctor, this technology will actually help you reduce adverse events, improve clinical outcomes. And you know what? Come to this Congress, hear from other thought leaders within your space of how they're deploying this technology in their practice, and let us educate you on it. And then, we're starting to see momentum there. And we've seen great momentum in this space. You go back just 5-6 years ago, it was in its infancy, and it still is. The future is super bright around other markers, other agents to identify different pathology or critical anatomy. But there is a learning curve, and some people are more open. The younger generation, obviously, they get very excited when you can make something glow. You can use, algorithms to identify different. They're very open to it, and they have a lot of appetite to learn, where some of the older generation, it might take a little more work.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same with every specialty. And I imagine if you have data suggesting or reflecting a drop in adverse events, you're going to get the administrators and the payers on board as well, pushing for that.
That's right.
Yep. Interesting. So let's talk about your other news surrounding SPY-PHI and open field visualization.
This is exciting. Back in June, we received our 510(k) approval for lymphatic mapping within breast cancer with our open field imaging platform, the SPY-PHI. And this is important, as I'm mentioning, these top cancers globally. You have lung cancer, you have colorectal cancer. Well, number 2 is breast cancer. So breast cancer, it'd be hard to find anyone, I'm sure, on this podcast or anyone that has not had a loved one or a wife, a mother experience breast cancer. I mean, it touches all of us. So with this approval, with our open field camera, with ICG, a breast cancer surgeon can map the lymphatic channels when they're doing the procedure. And why is this important? You want to get those lymph nodes. When you're trying to understand breast cancer and your approach to treating the patient, you want to get, it depends on the severity of the cancer, a couple lymph nodes, many lymph nodes, and then you want to test to see if cancer is residing in those lymph nodes. You might have to take a more aggressive approach. The current gold standard is injecting a patient the day or a couple days before a procedure with a radioactive marker, which will reside in the lymph node. So they'll use a audible, so beep, 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 and it will make a higher pitched noise as you get close to that lymph node, and they remove the lymph node. With our technology, it can be injected day of during procedure, and you can visually map the lymphatic channels to those lymph nodes. So from a process standpoint, it's a much better experience for the patient, and it just gives the surgeon, another arrow in their quiver, if you will, to provide the best outcome for that patient. And it's very exciting. We have exclusivity for the next 3 years with our indication, and we're the customers in which employ this technology, they're very excited, and they think this is going to help them provide better care for their patients. So we're very enthusiastic about the approval we recently received.
What does the exclusivity mean? How does that work?
That means none of our competitors can market in this space. They're not going to get FDA approval as we do with lymphatic mapping. Yeah.
So how does that impact a rollout strategy, or does it? Do you just sort of follow the same strategy? You just know you sort of have a bit of a head start?
We have a head start.
Yep. That's it.
It's nice to know we have a head start, and we're leaning in on the medical education, educating the surgeons on this indication, the technology. So it's nice to know you have those 3 years head start.
Sure. Final question. I mean, as we're talking about imaging and identifying tissues and anomalies and such, I mean, we're seeing throughout medtech the inclusion of artificial intelligence, machine learning, those tools to help surgeons and others even be able to more accurately to see what needs to be seen. How has that played into what you've got so far, and how is AI going to play into where Stryker's headed in the future?
You nailed it. AI, ML, it's all around us. Topic of discussion, and it definitely is in medtech and absolutely at Stryker. We recently established an organization. You might be familiar with it. It's acronym DRE, and it stands for Digital, Robotics, and Enabling Technology. And within that organization, we have an individual, Sid Satish, and he's a VP of AI. So this organization sits in the middle of the 23 BUs that sit around it. And he came over from an acquisition, Gauss. Gauss is a technology that was here in Silicon Valley, very innovative technology, where they would take an iPhone or an iPad, take a picture of surgical sponges that would be used to soak up blood and other liquids, and would be able to tell you how much blood is in that sponge. So you could understand if that patient, and this was really used in postpartum procedures, and if they're hemorrhaging, how much blood have we lost simply by taking a picture?
That is remarkable.
Sponges soaked with all types of different fluids. So that's one of the technologies we have, and that sits with our surgical business. But he's in the middle, and he's making sure we're collaborating across all the different businesses. As I think about my business, the endoscopy BU, we have a technology where as a surgeon's doing a minimally invasive procedure, they're in the abdomen's full with air, they're cauterizing tissue, it's creating this surgical plume. We have an algorithm that will identify that and flush the plume out of the abdomen, so the surgeon doesn't even have to think about it. They're always going to have optimal visualization. And there's so many tools we want to develop here at the Endo BU. And what's really nice for my business unit is we have the piping established. So we have these boxes we call hubs installed in tens of thousands of operating theaters around the world. And what these do, they collect surgical images, videos, they push and pull information from the operating theater outside, and then they pull information in, whether it's a CT scan, an MRI, and it allows the surgeon to put these images on the screen, or if they record video or images, put it into the patient's medical electronic record, or maybe they use it for research. Again, that data is theirs. That's the customers, that's the patients. But we, Stryker, we need to collect that data. So creating these algorithms and the tools, it's all predicated on collecting high quality data. What's great is we have the tooling and plumbing in place. Now the next step is collaborating with our customers. And how do we collect and aggregate that technology, and get the data in a meaningful way where we can create the tools to hopefully reduce cost, find efficiencies, prevent adverse effects, ultimately improving the patient experience. And that takes time. It takes time to collect the data, to validate the data, and then to create these tools. So we're working across Stryker to create these partnerships and collaborate with customers around the world to collect high quality data so we can go and create these tools. So we're hyper focused on it at an organizational level and definitely at my BU's level. And the future's bright. There's a lot we can do with it, and it is going to be that partnership with our customers.
Fantastic. Well, it's there certainly will be a lot of news coming in the future surrounding this technology, and I'm sure we'll be back again talking about your next new exciting release. So, Andres, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Well, I appreciate the time. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for letting me talk a little bit about myself and the wonderful technology this team is bringing to market that's going to have, I truly think, a meaningful impact on the communities in which we serve. So thank you for the time, Tom.
My pleasure. All right, well, that is a wrap. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Stryker Talks podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Device Talks Podcast Network. We're out there in any major podcast application. You'll get future episodes of Stryker Talks and our other great podcasts sent directly to you. Please share this episode on social media so others can find it. Please connect with me on social media, whether you share it or not. I'd love to be part of your network and a part of your medical device conversations. Finally, we'll have Stryker well represented at our Device Talks West meeting. It's happening on October 18th and 19th at the Santa Clara Convention Center. If folks from Stryker would like to attend, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll tell you how to make that happen. It's very easy. All the other folks can go to devicetalks.com. You'll find the Device Talks West page there. Please register and join us on October 18th and 19th at the Santa Clara Convention Center. It's going to be 2 great days of conversations centered around medical device manufacturing, product development, bringing products to market. We'll be talking about neuromodulation, diabetes, surgical robotics, vascular, and much, much more. Go to devicetalks.com to register. All right, well, that is a wrap. Thanks again for joining us on this episode of the Stryker Talks podcast. We'll have another episode coming your way very soon.